Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zack, and today I am driving a 1997 Daihatsu Opti Club Sport. Up front is a 0.6 liter inline 3, and down below is a 4-speed automatic transmission. Now, I am super excited to be driving this little Opti for two reasons. First of all, it's just so cute. This might be the most adorable little car I've driven in quite some time. But the second reason is the fact that this car is super rare. Not only was it never sold here in the United States, the Club Sport was a trim level designed for Gran Turismo 2. The owner and I have only found production numbers as big as 500 and as small as 50. But with a pre-internet car, it's kind of hard to lock down specific numbers. So at the end of the day, 500 in the whole world is pretty rare, and the owner himself, who owns an importing business, has only ever seen 2 come up for auction, and this has been the best example in the world. So this might be the cleanest, most well-kept Opti Club Sport to exist. But if you would like to submit your own vehicle and have it reviewed here on the channel, you can head on over to my website, zackpradel.com/submit. It's a quick and easy submission form. It takes under a minute to fill out, and I come out to you. And if you, hold on, there's a Cadillac Catera behind me. How am I driving an Opti Club Sport before a Catera? That's wild to me. Anyway, if you'd like to see my videos early, you can head on over to my Patreon for only $5 a month, and there's also exclusive audio content there. Also, huge thank you to Tiki Bunny Imports for letting me borrow his Opti. You can find all of his information down below if you'd like to purchase an imported vehicle, or if you have any questions about importing, he's the guy to talk to. But let's get back to that 658cc inline 3 under the hood. Well, it's small but mighty. It has dual overhead cams and is fuel injected, which wasn't always a given with K vehicles. Now, this is a K car, KEI, which means that it follows a very specific set of rules and guidelines in Japan. The engine displacement is one of them. It has to be under 660 cc's. The size is another requirement and things like that, but for the engine to pass the K test, it had to be small, so it's just under 660 at 658. Do a little acceleration test. It's not fast. It's not fast, even like relatively, but it's cute, and you hear it work, and it's like, come on, let's do it. And that's actually the nice thing. I'm in a neighborhood. I didn't break the speed limit doing an acceleration test, but it's just so chuckable. You could really get into it, and it follows wherever you put the steering wheel. And I know that should be self-explanatory with automobiles, but it's not always. Not always. Like I said, paired to it is a 4-speed automatic. Now, this was actually an upgrade halfway through this Opti's generation. It used to come with a 3-speed, but they upped it to the 4-speed to really give you that extra power. Last but not least, the Opti is front-wheel drive. However, there was a rare trim level that did come with all-wheel drive, but this is not that. So how does it feel to drive a Daihatsu Opti Club Sport? It's a little bizarre, not only because I'm on the opposite side of the vehicle. I've gotten actually pretty used to that with all the JDM cars I've driven. The odd part is that it's so fun and so small and so chuckable and just so odd. Now, this car does have an aftermarket strut brace at the rear, and the Club Sport got upgraded features to help with the sportiness, but boy, is it just fun. It's rigid and fun. You can chuck it into a corner and have complete confidence of a big car in a little car. That is very nice to see. Visibility is pretty good. Ride quality ain't great, but you know, I guess you can't win everything. With that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have 3 gauges. Off to the left is my speedometer, off to the right is my coolant temperature, fuel, and up to the right, I do have a gauge for the tachometer. The steering wheel is a genuine Momo unit, and this was part of the Club Sport trim level. So you got this nice wooden steering wheel, the wood bezels on the gauges. And off to the right, we have our rear defrost, a dead switch, and the climate vent. And moving on to the door, we have power windows. Very odd to see power windows in a K vehicle. Normally, they don't come with them. They have cranks to save money and weight, but the Opti Club Sport got power. Moving into the center, we do have two climate control vents. And off to the left, we have an analog clock that says Opti. It's a legitimate quartz clock. And we have a dealer optioned insert for 2 cup holders and a cubby space. So we will do a big friggin' bottle test in the Daihatsu Opti. And like every other Daihatsu that's ever existed, it fails the big friggin' bottle test. But down below, we do have our climate controls. This was a factory AC vehicle. Again, not standard on K vehicles, but this one was pretty loaded. We do have an aftermarket radio to be expected not only in a 90s car, but we don't get Japanese frequencies, so a lot of American owners swap them out. We have an ashtray and cigarette lighter, a little storage space for your cassettes, and the shifter. The shifter has a legit Nardi wooden shift knob, again, part of the Opti Club Sport package, and it powers that 4-speed automatic. Then we get a little handbrake, a little cubby, and the seats. The seats have a lovely, lovely little pattern to them. And as you'll notice, the driver's seat and passenger seat actually have different colors. So they really went the extra mile. They're asymmetrical, and these are the factory seats for the Club Sport. However, if you really want your mind blown, for the back seats, which again are factory, they went with not red and blue, not green and yellow, they went with leather. So the back seats are leather. Let's hop back there and do a back seat review. So I do have to be a little bit careful with these seats because there's no saying how many of them even still exist. This might be the only set of these seats, most likely the only ones in the US. I'm in the back of a Daihatsu Opti Club Sport. I don't think anyone in this region has said that out loud, which is very cool. It's not super comfortable, but it's also not the worst in the world. I would much rather ride back here than in a brand new Toyota GR86. I would much rather ride back here than a brand new Ford Mustang GT or Dark Horse. Not that it matters, but it's the back seat of a Daihatsu Opti Club Sport. This is cool. This is very, very cool. I'm just going to enjoy it for a second. Okay, it's been enjoyed. Let's hop into the back. We'll take a quick look at the trunk and cargo space because, yes, there is cargo space, and then we'll talk about the looks. All right, around the back of the Daihatsu Opti, here's the key for anyone interested. Very cool. We do have lock and unlock. Power locks on a K car, but stick it in there, pull it up. And we do, now these are aftermarket speakers, which is, this was a very popular speaker system in Japan. I've driven a couple cars with this. I don't really know how to say it, but they are pretty popular. But this is the storage space in the back of a Daihatsu Opti Club Sport. Nothing crazy, obviously. If you're gonna drive across the country, you might want a little bit more space, but with the back seats, I mean, it's relatively spacious for how small it is. Now, your crumple zone is, well, not very plentiful, but the owner said that he goes and gets groceries for the whole family, and they all fit back here. So very cool. And this is that strut brace that I mentioned earlier. So that is an aftermarket piece that a previous owner put on, but very, very cool. Now we got to talk about the looks, and don't you just want to snuggle up on a rainy day with this? I mean, it's so adorable. It has such soft edges, and it comes in this beautiful baby blue. Now, there were 3 colors offered for the Club Sport package. There was this awesome blue. It's almost like a robin's egg or sky blue. They had black and they had red. Those are more sporty colors, but honestly, I'm so happy that this one comes in blue. You also get some fun Club Sport striping and this almost sort of makeshift Abarth badge, like they were trying to mimic the Fiat 500. Kind of silly there, but very, very cool to see. With all of that being said, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think driving a Daihatsu Opti Club Sport? Well, I love it. I mean, how can you not love this little car? Honestly, this isn't really a review. It's just me showing you something that's freaking cool. And what's so interesting to me is the true joy and silliness, not only that this car provides, but that Daihatsu was willing to produce. I mean, this costs dollars. This was probably hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, which converts to billions of yen, invested in the Daihatsu Opti. I mean, it costs a lot of money to make a car, and then to make it so silly and fun, I miss this era. Now, we did get this era a little bit in the early 2000s here in America. We had the Plymouth Prowler, which was a silly, unique car. But this is just so joyful, and it's so unoffensive. It doesn't have to make a statement. It's just here for a good time, and maybe not a long time, but that's okay. This car isn't trying to stroke your ego or make you feel good about yourself or prop you up on any sort of fake pretenses. It tries its best, it gives you all it's got, and at the end of the day, it's a very wholesome relationship that you get to form with it. It's fun, it's silly. That's the biggest takeaway. This car is silly, but we need silly things in our lives. A life without a laugh is not a life I want to live. And so driving this car, I found myself just laughing and giggling the entire time. I mean, talk about big guy in a little car. Big guy in a little car. It's true. I'm just, I'm in a pocketbook. I'm driving around a little purse with a dog in it. Look at the joy. I drive lots and lots of cars all the time, but it's very rare that a car this slow and this small just brings me so much joy. It's just goofy. And you know what? If you're not a silly goose every once in a while, don't honk at me. You know what I mean? That's why I hate pictures where people are trying to be serious. Life isn't serious. Life is one big never-ending joke. And this car is one small never-ending joke, but in the best ways possible. It's a little joy maker. And we could all use a little Opti in our lives. Which, by the way, at the end, Opti was short for optimistic. This car is just a little optimist. I love it. I love it so much. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Tyler. As I mentioned, you can follow him on Instagram with all of his fun imports. Such an awesome, down-to-earth guy. Very knowledgeable about these vehicles as well, which isn't always easy to find, but Tyler has been wonderful, and I appreciate him sharing his little bundle of joy with me here today. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.